Are you a director of engineering who's been stuck in the same role for years, watching your peers get promoted while you keep hitting dead ends? You are not alone. I talk to talented engineering leaders every week who are frustrated because they know that they're capable of more, but they can't seem to break through to the next level role. So here's what's really happening. You're probably doing what everyone else is doing, right? You're applying to online jobs, updating your resume, maybe reaching out to a few recruiters, and you're getting nowhere. Today, I'm going to show you a completely different approach. 3 specific strategies that have helped my clients to land director level roles at companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, and Qualcomm, often with 20 to 30% increases in compensation, which everybody loves. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so that you never miss one of the advanced job search tactics that I share every other week here on YouTube. My name is Ryan Stoltzfus, and I'm the founder of the Job Hackers Network. I help US-based engineering leaders in the technology industry to stand out by networking directly with hiring leaders without wasting time on job boards or recruiters who never respond. Since 2020, I've partnered with over 300 clients, many of them in operations, engineering, and tech leadership roles. Our clients consistently land significant compensation increases, with some seeing their previous salaries up to double. But more importantly, they land roles that align with their strengths and reignite their passion for their careers. Before we dive into these 3 strategies, I want to give you something that will help you implement what you learned today. So I've created a free director level resume template that's designed to specifically help engineering leaders just like you. This template is going to help you to showcase your strategic impact, not just your technical skills. And it's formatted exactly the way that hiring leaders want to see it. So click the link in the description to download it now. It's completely free, and you can start using it immediately to give your resume a competitive edge. And if you're ready to take a strategic approach to your entire job search and you want personalized guidance, then grab a time on my calendar for a free job search strategy call. The link is in the description below, and we can talk about my program, The Job Hackers Method. All right, let's jump into the first strategy, and this is a big one that most engineering leaders are usually completely wrong on, right? So you want to stop listing responsibilities on your resume and also on your LinkedIn profile. You want to start demonstrating strategic impact. Here's what I mean. When I look at resumes from engineering directors, I see the same pattern over and over again. They write things like managed a team of 15 engineers, could be 30, could be 50, right? Managed a team, responsible for product development, oversaw multiple projects, right? Tasks. These statements, they tell me nothing about what you accomplished. They tell me what your job description said, not what impact you delivered to the business. So let me show you the difference between a typical manager level bullet and a director level bullet point for a resume. At the manager level, somebody might say something with a pretty decent bullet, right? They might say something like oversaw a team of 12 engineers to complete 25 plus client projects, annually achieving a 90% client satisfaction score. Some good components there, right? That's fine for a manager role. It shows team management, it shows delivery, but it's focused inward on the team's KPIs. Now, here's a director level bullet point. Led company-wide initiatives spanning 10 global locations, driving a $10 million reduction in operational costs through process standardization. Do you see the difference? The director level example, it shows broader organizational impact. It connects to revenue and to costs, and it demonstrates influence beyond one single confined team. Here's what you need to understand. At the director level, companies aren't just buying your technical expertise. They're buying your ability to think strategically, to influence across departments, and drive measurable business outcomes. So when you're crafting your stories, and yes, I call them stories because that's what they are, you need to ask yourself 7 critical questions. Let me walk you through these because this is really a solid framework that I use with all of my clients, and it is very helpful. Question number 1, what was my role or scope? And am I taking the highest level of credit for that role, for my scope, for what I did? Question number 2, what was the benefit? Not just what you did, but what business outcome resulted from that work. Question number 3, by how much? You want to get quantitative, percentages, dollar amounts, time saved, headcount reduced. Numbers jump off the page. They scream validity. They are loud. Question number 4, from what to what? If you grew revenue, don't just say grew revenue. Say grew revenue from 1 million to 4 million. That's 4x growth, and it tells a story. Question number 5, from when to when? There's a massive difference between achieving something in 3 months versus 3 years. Okay, so from this to this, in this amount of time. Question 6, by doing what? What specific actions, what frameworks or methodologies did you use? This is where you can show repeatable models. Question 7, for whom? Who were the stakeholders? Was it for the C-suite, cross-functional teams, external clients? The broader the stakeholder group, the more impressive the impact. Let me give you a real example from one of my clients. Before working with me, his resume said this: managed engineering team and improved performance metrics. After we worked together, that bullet became led cross-functional initiatives spanning 8 departments to increase system reliability from 94% to 99.7%, reducing customer impacting incidents by 73%, and preventing an estimated 2.3 million in annual revenue loss. Same accomplishment, completely different impact. And that client, he landed a director role at a major tech company with a 35% salary increase. But here's the thing that most engineering leaders miss. Your resume, it isn't a job description. It's a marketing document. You're selling your value, your strategic thinking, your ability to drive outcomes that matter to the business. So when you're updating your resume or your LinkedIn profile, don't just list what you were responsible for. Show what you delivered, how it moved the needle for the business, and why it matters. And remember, at the director level, you need to show 2 sides of leadership, the people side and the business side. You're not just mentoring your team, you're influencing the C-suite. You're not just delivering projects, you're driving strategy that impacts revenue. Now, if you're realizing right now that your resume isn't really positioning you at the director level, don't worry. That's exactly what my free resume template will help you to fix. It's designed specifically for engineering leaders who want to showcase strategic impact, not just technical skills. So click the link in the description below to download it now. And if you want personalized help crafting these high-impact stories and positioning yourself for your next director role, book a free strategy call with me. We'll review your background and we'll create a plan tailored specifically to your situation. The second strategy is building a personal brand that attracts opportunities to you rather than you chasing opportunities. Here's the reality. At the director level, most of the best opportunities are never posted online. According to LinkedIn, 70% of jobs are never published publicly. According to HubSpot, 85% of jobs are filled through networking. So think about that for a second. If you're only applying online, you're competing for 30% of roles that everyone else can see, while missing the 70% that are filled through relationships and referrals. So the question becomes, how do you position yourself so that when those hidden opportunities are open, you're the first person hiring leaders think of? The answer is strategic personal branding. Now, when I say personal branding, I'm not talking about becoming a LinkedIn influencer or posting motivational quotes every day. I'm talking about curating your online presence so that when someone searches for you, and trust me, they will, they see a leader who knows their stuff and delivers results. So let me break this down into 3 components. Component number 1, your LinkedIn profile is your digital handshake. When a hiring leader or a recruiter looks you up, what do they see? Is your headline just Director of Engineering at Company X? Because if it is, you're missing a massive opportunity. Your headline should communicate your value proposition. Here's an example. Director of Engineering, scaling high-performing teams, cloud architecture and platform modernization, proven track record delivering $10 million plus in cost savings. See the difference? That headline tells me what you do, who you serve, what your core strengths are, and gives me a glimpse at your impact. Your LinkedIn profile, it should have the same strategic storytelling as your resume. Your experience section, it should use the situation action results framework, the storytelling framework. Your bullets should quantify impact, and at least every third bullet should have a numeric result. One thing I coach my clients on is customizing their LinkedIn URL. Instead of the random string of numbers that LinkedIn assigns to you, change it to your name because it'll look more professional and it's easier for people to remember. Component number 2 is strategic content and engagement. You don't need to post every day, but showing up strategically, doing things like this, commenting on thought leaders' posts, sharing relevant articles with your perspective, engaging in meaningful discussions, it positions you as someone who's actively engaged in your field. One of my clients, Alessandro Sorrentino, landed his Director of Engineering role at LaunchDarkly specifically because of how he engaged on LinkedIn. He reached out to their CRO with a personalized message mentioning how he had advocated for adopting their product at his previous company. That single message got him to the table and the top of the interview list. And when he went through the process, the talent team thought that he had already worked with the CRO based on their LinkedIn interaction. That's the power of strategic engagement. Component number 3, recommendations and social proof. Your LinkedIn recommendations, they validate your delivery in the workplace. They're third-party endorsements of your value. So here's a simple framework for requesting recommendations that actually gets responses. You want to make it easy for the person to write something meaningful, so give them a template. Send them something like this. Hi, insert name. I've had the pleasure of working with you for, insert time period, during, and then put in a description of your work relationship. Would you be willing to write a LinkedIn recommendation highlighting what makes me stand out? For example, my ability to, and then insert a specific skill you want to highlight, and my, insert a personality trait you want to highlight. I know you're busy, so I'm happy to draft something for your review if that's easier. Making it easy for them dramatically increases the likelihood that they'll actually take that step and do it. Now, here's what I want you to understand about personal branding. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency and authenticity. One of my clients, David Frick, who landed a Director of Business Development role at Qualcomm, he told me that the process felt like putting on a comfortable shoe once he started focusing on his personal brand. He said it gave him control over his narrative instead of feeling like he was just reaching to whatever came his way, right? Whatever came to mind. Your personal brand, it's how you take control of how you're perceived in the market. And when you do it right, opportunities start coming to you. The third strategy is the most important one, and it's the one that most engineering leaders either avoid totally and completely or do completely wrong. And it is strategic networking. Let me start with a mindset shift that changes everything. Networking is not asking for a job. Networking is building relationships based on shared value long before you ever need a job. Here's the mistake I see over and over again. Someone decides that they want to start networking, so they send out 50 connection requests on LinkedIn with a generic message. And then they're surprised when no one responds or when the responses don't lead anywhere. That's not strategic networking, that's spam. Strategic networking has 3 components: who, how, and when. So let's start with who. At the director level, you need to think about 3 categories of people who should be in your network. Category number 1 is industry peers. These are other directors of engineering at different companies, right? They're lateral to you. They're not going to hire you directly, but they can introduce you to people who can. They understand your challenges. They can provide transparent feedback. And most importantly, they can become advocates who vouch for you when opportunities arise. Category number 2 is decision makers. These are VPs, CTOs, GMs. These are the people who create roles and make hiring decisions. You want to be on their radar before they have an open position. Category number 3, adjacent influencers. These are people adjacent to hiring decisions. Product leaders, HRBPs, staff engineers who have influence. They may not make the final call, but they often have input that matters. Now, let's talk about how you actually network with these people. The biggest mistake engineering leaders make is leading with the resume. Don't do that. That's not the way to network, right? Start with relevance. Mention something that they wrote, something that they said, or that they shared. Make it specific and genuine. Here's an example. Hi, Sarah. I saw your talk on scaling infrastructure teams at AWS re:Invent. I'm leading similar efforts in my current role and would love to connect and exchange notes on your approach to handling database migrations at scale. Things like re:Invent are a really great opportunity. In our group coaching call, an individual was just talking about going to re:Invent last week where there were over 70,000 people that were present. Well, think about the people who are on stage there. You can network with them and talk about their talks if it's specific to your area of expertise. That message that I laid out there, it's specific and it shows mutual value. It's not asking for anything except a conversation. And here's a pro tip. If you have a mutual connection, ask for a warm introduction. That will at least double your reply rate. One of my clients, Sam Morgan, is what I would call a networking nerd. He started connecting with me back in 2022. He didn't ask for anything. He just stayed in touch. Sent me 5 or 6 messages over years, checking in, and ultimately sharing insights and asking thoughtful questions. And you know what happened? When he finally needed career coaching, I was the person that he sought because he already had a relationship with me. That's strategic networking on his part. You're building career equity before you need it. So now let's talk about when. The answer is now. Not when you need a job, now. According to HubSpot, although 79% of professionals agree that networking is valuable for career progression, only 48% consistently keep in touch with their network. That is a massive opportunity. If you're in the 48% who actually maintain relationships, you're already ahead of most of your competition. Here's what strategic networking looks like in practice. Let's say that you identify 75 people in your network who fit into these 3 categories that I mentioned: peers, decision makers, and adjacent influencers. These are what I call ICAs, ideal contact advocates. These are people who already know you, they trust you, and can connect you with opportunities if they're equipped. Then you identify another set of people, ideal employer representatives. These are hiring managers at companies that you want to work for. These are people that you don't know yet, but need to build relationships with. Your networking strategy should allocate about 80% of your time to ICAs and IERs combined. Why? Because the data shows that 80 to 85% of director level roles are filled through networking, not through online applications. So let me give you a real example. One of my clients, Danielle Ash, she landed a Director of Project Innovation role at Vanda Health. She didn't fill out an application. She didn't fight with the ATS. She networked with ICAs and IERs, and the role was literally written for her by the CEO because the CEO determined that Danielle's skill set was missing in her organization. That's the power of strategic networking. Another client, Lakshmi Mahadevan, landed a product program manager role at Oracle. She told me one of her biggest takeaways was embracing the concept of ICAs and IERs and understanding that this was just the beginning. Networking isn't something that you only do when you need a job. It's something you do continually to build career equity. So here's something else that I want you to understand. Networking isn't just about quantity. It's also about quality. So you don't need to talk to 100 people. You need to have meaningful conversations with the right 20 people. And those conversations, they should be focused on giving value first, asking second, sharing insights, making introductions. Offer to help with a problem that you're facing and build trust. Then, when you do need something, a referral, an introduction, feedback on your approach, you're not asking a stranger. You're asking someone who already sees your value and you have equity to spend. So let me give you a framework for those networking conversations. When you do connect with someone, you want to walk away with 3 things. Thing number 1, transparent feedback. This is where you can test your value proposition, get insights about companies, roles, or your approach. Your ICAs are the ones who will give you the most honest feedback. Thing number 2, information and insights. What are they seeing in the market? What challenges are they facing? What's changing in the industry from their perspective? This information helps you position yourself more effectively. Thing number 3, referrals to new connections. Every good networking conversation should end with, who else should I be talking to? Who else would I have a great conversation with? That's how you expand your network strategically. One of my clients, Peter Wren, was laid off from Intel. He used this exact framework. Even though his position at Intel was frozen, the hiring manager made the case for why Peter was the right candidate. Peter followed the program, he identified his strengths, prepped for the internal interviews, and most importantly, he built his network. When the opportunity came around, he was ready. And he ended up finding a position that matched his strengths inside of Intel at his own company. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Networking isn't about collecting contacts, it's about building relationships. It's about being the person who gives value, shares insights, makes introductions, and stays top of mind. And when you do it right, you don't just find your next job. You unlock opportunities that you didn't even know existed. Let me bring this all together. We've covered 3 strategies that will completely transform your job search as an engineering leader. Strategy number 1, stop listing responsibilities and start demonstrating strategic impact. Use the 7 questions framework to craft stories that show business outcomes, not just technical delivery. Remember, you're selling your value, not your job description. Strategy number 2, build a personal brand that attracts opportunities. Optimize your LinkedIn profile, engage strategically, and gather social proof through recommendations. Control your narrative instead of letting others define you. Strategy number 3, master strategic networking. Build relationships before you need referrals. Focus on ICAs and IERs. Give value first, ask second. And remember, networking is a long-term investment in your career equity. Now, here's what I know. If you implement these 3 strategies, you will stand out. You will get conversations with hiring leaders, and you will land roles that align with your strengths and your career aspirations. But I also know that doing this alone, it's freaking hard, right? It's easy to get stuck, to second guess yourself, to wonder if you're doing it right. That's why I created the Job Hackers Method. It's a comprehensive program that walks you through every step of this process, from identifying your strengths and crafting your value proposition to building your network strategically, all the way over to acing director level interviews and negotiating offers that reflect your true worth. I provide you with the frameworks, the templates, the one-on-one coaching, and a community of our engineering leaders who are on the same journey with you. It feels like a mastermind group. It's so powerful. My clients don't just land jobs, they land dream roles at companies like Microsoft, Amazon, NVIDIA, Autodesk, LaunchDarkly, and Qualcomm. And you heard from some of those testimonials in this video. They see 20 to 30% increases in compensation, and some have even doubled their previous salaries. But more than that, they find roles that reignite their passion for their careers, that play to their strengths, and that give them the impact and the recognition that they deserve. So if you're ready to take control of your career and stop feeling stuck, then I want to talk to you. Click the link in the description below to book a free job search strategy call with me or my team, and we'll review your background, we'll talk about where you want to go, and we'll map out a plan to get you there. This is your career. You've worked too hard, and you're too talented to settle for feeling undervalued. Make the decision today to invest in yourself. Book that call, download the free resume template, and start implementing these strategies right away. And remember, with the right approach, you can turn your career aspirations into reality. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more advanced job search strategies. And after this video, check out my tutorial on networking strategies for engineering leaders, where I go even deeper on exactly how to reach out to hiring leaders and turn those conversations into job offers. I'll see you on the next one.